In today's episode, what we're going to be focusing on is how to improve your sports performance. That's it. We're going to be focusing on ways in which you can perform better in your sport. So don't go anywhere. I'll be with you very shortly. Hey there, Tiff here. Welcome to Ambition Habits. So lovely to have you here today. I'm really excited about talking about this one because this is all about helping you improve in your sports performance. So when you're out there in competition, when you're out there training, and how to focus on what to do and so on, you're going to really enjoy this episode, I feel. I'm actually going to read a lot of it for you from here because I've got so many notes on there and there's so much information I want to get to you. So I'm actually going to read it to you today, this one, because I think it's really important that we get the gist and really understand ways in which you can then improve your performance when you're out there competing in your sport. Okay, and the other thing too, like it doesn't matter what level you are, okay? So if you're just out there wanting to play socially, it's okay, but you can focus on these things as well. So if you're out there playing competitively, great, you know, this is really going to help you. But even socially, just because you're not playing like a true competition as such, doesn't mean that you can't focus on these things, because you actually can. Okay, so number one is embrace the journey. And what that really is we're going to be looking at two things around that: is love the grind and set process goals. So love the grind is find the joy in the daily routines and the practice sessions. And when you enjoy the process, you'll be more motivated and more engaged, right? So you want to be really just enjoying being there, enjoying the practice of it. Second part of that is set process goals. So you may have heard me in the last few episodes talking about process goals. And what we want to be focusing on is, rather than focusing on winning something, we want to be setting goals in the sense of how we're going to improve our training, how we're going to improve our performance, how to look for those little wins that you're actually getting, right? So a thing could be like how to aim down the center line of better service accuracy if you're playing tennis, okay? Or how to hit your driver straight off the tee or something like that. So you're getting the middle of the fairway a lot more often, right? So you want to be focusing on little processes. Like another one, like I always suggest around putting, is to get your first putt within a metre of the hole. Makes life so much easier, right? Okay, number two, develop a process-orientated mindset. So it's really, what we're talking about here is being mindful and setting daily intentions. So when we're mindful, what we're doing is we're actually being present in the session, right? So you're actually focused in on what you're doing. You haven't, you're not dreaming off into another world, thinking about all these other things that you need to be doing, versus being focused in the moment of actually what you're doing. Because when you practice doing that, when you then get out and perform in your sport, because you've been practicing being mindful and being aware of actually what's going on and being present in that moment, then you tend to perform better. Another really good one is the setting daily intentions. I'm a big fan of that. I set intentions for everything that I do because I want to make sure that I'm really focused and honed in on what I'm doing. So a daily intention, when you're going to training or you're going to practice, for example, you want to feel the ball come better off the club face, or there's a particular strike or something that you do in boxing or punt or karate, or some type of punch that you do that you want to make sure that you're executing that skill really well. So you want to make sure that you're setting that intention. I've got a young girl that I do a little bit of mentoring with who's in the multi-class swimming. She's 16, and I just get her to focus on specific things that she needs to be focusing on, technique, in that session or whatever it is. So, she wants to work on her underwater push off from the wall or something like that, right? So you want to be making sure that you're being really specific about what those intentions are of what you want to accomplish. Number 3, monitor and adjust. And really, this is really what we're doing is we're tracking actually what's going on. I'm a big fan of that too. And finding ways in which you can actually track and understand what's actually going on. Because again, it's all about the processes. So if you can cut down the skills in some form, or your practice in some form, that you can actually track the progress in what's improving and what's not, then you can better identify on what you can then do to get it better. Or if it's doing really well, then you just maintain that and keep that momentum going. Another really good one around that is just adjusting. So it's being aware of like what's working well, it's being aware of what's not working well, and then you're adjusting accordingly to what's actually happening. So all of that information is then gathered from you tracking your progress. Number 4, celebrate the wins. Yay! And we want to celebrate the little wins. It's so important that we have these like little milestones that we set for ourselves that we want to achieve, because those little milestones that we're actually achieving, those little stepping stones that we're actually achieving, or that little, step in the ladder that we're actually achieving, is actually helping us improve. So we want to make sure that once you've achieved that small, like little milestone that you've set for yourself, and I want to be able to do this, then woohoo, celebrate, right? Cartwheels, push-ups. Some people like doing push-ups, backflips, whatever it is that you want to do to celebrate, go out for dinner, whatever it is. But you've got to look at the little wins, because that's what makes you feel good. That's what keeps the motivation going. That's what helps feel like you're achieving something in your sport. Because sometimes you feel like you're just grinding it out and nothing's changing, but actually things are changing. It's just that you haven't been tracking it, so you're not aware. So then when you set like little milestone goals, and then you focus on the processes, and then you track what's going on, then you can actually start to see some results, right? It's not the big win, like winning a tournament, and obviously that's awesome, but it's also the little ones that are created to get there, okay, to the end result. Number 5, staying resilient. There are times when you just feel like giving up and it's just too hard. Of course. Right? Sometimes things just don't work the way you expect it to. Sometimes you go out and perform and you just, you don't know what happened. You spent the whole time trying to find your game. You don't know where you were, and you're trying everything that you can to make it happen. Sometimes, it's a bit more challenging than other times. Sometimes you get into a zone and you flow, like a lovely flow state, and you just flow along and everything's great and it's quite easy for you. And then other times you've really got to work at it. I remember listening to Tiger Woods years ago talking about when he was out playing and he didn't play that well that day, and he said, I just couldn't find my swing. And I was like, yeah, I understand that, because, obviously I'm a golfer as well, but it's finding the feel. So if you've been really working on your skill level in your sport, then you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, because sometimes it's just a bit harder to find. And usually I find you're a bit more intense about it. So you need to make sure that you relax and calm down a bit more, maybe swing a bit slower, do something a bit slower if you can. Try and hone in your focus a bit better, but also just, you want to make sure you're relaxing your mind more, because we do have some setbacks at times. We do have to overcome the frustrations at times, and that's a really good way to manage that. Visualize, mental rehearsal, right? So a really good thing is to actually mentally rehearse how you want to perform. So if you've got an event coming up, you could actually go through the process of that tournament, right, of that particular match, if you know who you're playing or where you're playing. You could take yourself through a process of this is how you want to operate for this particular event, right? So you could go from when the whistle blows, or where you just tee off, or you do your first serve, or whatever it is, to right to the very end of when your competing finishes and take you through the process of actually how you want to do it. And a really good way in mental rehearsal is like, yeah, you're seeing yourself, but you want to feel it as well. So you want to actually see if you can connect the mind and body and actually feel it actually happening. There's a great book written by Neville Goddard called The Feeling is the Secret. And it's all about feeling, right? It's feeling actually what's going on. It's connecting. Okay, so that's a really good one to be focusing on when you're visualizing, like that mental rehearsal. And the other thing too in that is also making sure you break down the steps, right? What are you going to do when you tee off? You know, what's your pre-shot routine like? Yeah, when you go to serve, what's your routine like before you actually do a serve, right? And then you go through the process of the serve. How do you respond? What part of the court do you go back to ready to play the next shot, right? So those are the things that you want to be focusing on around that. Number 7, seek feedback. So a really good thing to do is if you're not having coaching, go and have a coach to have a look at you. So if you really want to improve on an area, go and find a coach. Say, look, can you have a look at this for me? I don't know if I'm doing this correctly. Can you help me? Right? And if the coach is good, they will help you and they'll get you on the right path. They'll give you some drills to do, some things to focus on, and then you can go off and go and do that. A lot of people that are competing at like in a local level don't have coaching, which is a shame because they could actually improve so much better if they did. And I know that I'm a coach, but I'm also a sports participant as well. And, you know, like it's really good to get feedback from a coach who can see things that you can't see. Like you can feel stuff, but it mightn't be the right thing that you should be feeling and so on. But if you have somebody to actually have a look at you and give you feedback around it, that's gold. Number 8, balance, rest and recovery. This is probably a big thing that people don't do. I know that it's taken me a long, long time to understand that rest and recovery is just as important, because how I've always operated over the years is push really hard, push until you fall over. Then you can't do anything because you're so exhausted, and then you need, you know, a week, 2 weeks, maybe even 3 weeks to recover so that you can get back to where you were. So it's really important, you know, on a weekly basis that you have rest and recovery as part of your managing yourself better, right? It's all around the processes, so that if you give your body and your mind time to recover and repair and have some downtime from your sport, then the great thing about that is, like, when the body's recovered, the mind's recovered, it's ready to go into action when you onto your next training session. But if you keep pushing day after day after day after day and you never have a break, then you're in a lot of trouble. I can guarantee that. So we need to make sure that we're looking after the body, okay? Nutritionally, mentally, physically, emotionally. There's so much around that. I'm a big fan of self-care, especially as I get older. It's so important to make sure that you're looking after your body as you get older as an athlete, because, you know, we get a few little niggles here and there, so we need to make sure that we're managing those as well, so that we are set up in the sense of we're looking after the little muscles so the bigger muscles are really functioning really well, right? So it might be taking time off, or it might be doing some like prehab work in the sense of getting better stability in your body. I'm a big fan of that. There's so much you can do, okay? But make sure that you're resting and recovering. It's so, so important. And that, my friend, is it. So there's some great things that you can go and focus on. So remember, it's all about focusing on the processes, because the processes are the things that are going to give you the result that you're after in your sport. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Love it if you could share with me what you like best about what you heard today. Love it if you could leave a comment down below, and dream big, believe in you, go after your dreams. Have an awesome day. Take care. Talk soon. Bye for now.